I think I may have it.
What?
You'd best put seatbelts on your ears, Roy, because I'm going to take them for the ride of their lives.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
All right, you motherfuckers. We're gonna talk some comic books. What's up, Rev?
What up,
Reverend Mad Doc? How are you?
I am well. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Quackity quackity, bitches.
See, you couldn't introduce me like I introduced you.
Oh,
I'm
fuck,
the tech
I thought you had a role here.
Oh.
Don't mess with tradition.
Whoa, I see what you're doing. So, yes, I'm the host
The
of
Tech
Green Geek
Jedi.
Comics Podcast.
I said, "What's up, Tech?" I did. If you go back and listen, which you can because we're recording,
I will not do that
because you know I'm right.
because you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Said with such a degree of force and belief.
You're always wrong. I mean, it's just the way you are. I've accepted it over long periods.
Have you heard our podcasts? Because I am not, but I'm fairly certain.
See, that's why you're wrong. Guy doesn't even listen to his own shit.
Why should I? I said
What kind
it.
of
I know what I
musician
said.
would you be?
A poor one, man. I can't carry a tune for a motherfucking pail, okay? That shit don't work out.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Whatever.
We got hobo cops fighting the man and the other hobos.
What is this fucking thing called?
I don't know. Danny Trejo is the god of the underworld of something, of like New York subway systems.
Great, so he's a fucking Morlock?
He's a Morlock with style.
Oh, his style. Yeah, whatever. Bring Callisto in here, then we'll talk. This is episode 183. And I thought you'd like to know that we're talking indies tonight. So it's going to be a very long show.
Well, I have a lot to say about Indiana Jones.
So strap the fuck in, kids.
Now, when Raiders came out, I was...
You would have been 9.
Yeah.
Because I
It
was
was a
10.
seminal moment.
Because
I'm so excited about it. I had a 2-hour Indiana Jones podcast.
Whoa, no.
Like, this is
no.
so
You've made a
cool.
mistake. See, you are wrong.
What?
No, not that kind of indie. Independent.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, you got all worked up, didn't you? You can put it back in your pants now. Jesus Christ.
I'm out. That's it. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm done.
You had any interesting comic adventures this week?
I actually hit a flea market and found some randoms. Finally filled a fucking huge hole in the Simonson Thors. 338. The second of the major run, which I've been unable to find for fucking ever. I find in some skeevy little box on the side of the road, so to speak. 6 comics for $5.
People don't want to give these things up. They're quality books.
And yet, you know what? The weird thing about the Simonsons is that you do find, because the print runs were so high, you don't find certain ones, and you never find them all, but you do find Simonson Thors regularly, relatively cheaply.
Yeah.
It's filling those missing motherfuckers that's so hard. And it taunts me because you do. Like, you'll go into a random dollar box. Not like ones that have been worked over for years, no. But, like, if you go into a decent, you'll find 1 or 2 of them floating around, just like you will a Byrne Fantastic Four or 2. You can find one of those floating around, or a Byrne Superman. Just not enough to complete them, just little tidbits to be like, oh, here.
It's never helpful. You do have to snag them when you can.
Right. But eventually, like, you start, obviously they repeat, but the Simonson Thor run is so large, and the print run was so much larger back then, that they turn up regularly, but finding the missing 3, like Baller the Brave 4, is a motherfucker. I don't know why.
It wasn't a particularly interesting issue, not in the context of the rest of it. I mean, it finished the story, but the really fun shit happened in the other 3.
But, 338, the second one, I finally found.
Good.
The build-up, Beta Ray build, the big battle between the 2 of them before they team up. But yeah, I was like, motherfuck, I cannot believe it. So I picked up that, and I found some old Marvel team-ups. everywhere from 38 to 121.
Now, what was that little gem with that one guy that you pulled out from?
Hold on, what do we got? Well, I got a few gems. Like this is from a couple different dollar bins. Like I don't think I didn't spend more than $2 on one comic. Most of them were $1 or less, but I think one guy charged me like $6 for 4. So I guess
honestly,
theoretically,
some of those are pretty bang the fuck up.
well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like for what I was dealing with, I was fine with that. Like these were reading for fun copies, but yeah, Marvel fighting the Griffin. Good God,
the Griffin.
Spider-Man teams up with Killraven in a battle that no one has clamored for ever.
Killraven.
A couple of Byrne Marvel team-ups, Claremont and Byrne.
Tigra.
And Man
El
Thing.
Tigre.
Yes, the John Byrne Man Thing.
Ew.
Oh, yes, Marvel team-up 121, Spider-Man and the Human Torch.
Yeah.
As written by, let's get full credit here, J.M. DeMatteis and penciled by Kerry Gamble. So nice team.
Yeah.
And this is the reintroduction of the early Daredevil villain Leapfrog in his new identity as the Fabulous Frogman.
Whom we've talked about several times over the years.
I love the Fabulous Frogman. If memory serves, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I don't think hate's the right word, but where do you fall on the Frogman?
The Frogman is a fine enough character for what he is and what was done with him. He doesn't hold any great cachet for me.
So your major issue with him is that I keep bringing him up.
Yeah.
Okay. I found Power Man and Iron Fist 50, which is a Byrne issue again, but also the first from Power Man to Power Man and Iron Fist. A Master of Kung Fu, Indiana Jones.
Now, wasn't there something interesting about that Master of Kung Fu?
Oh yes, good point. I forgot about that. Yeah, The Hands of Shang Chi, Master of Kung Fu 119, 6 before it would finally end, and guest penciler Marc Silvestri.
What?
What's up with that, Mark? Little skeleton in your closet.
That doesn't look like the Marc Silvestri I've known, man.
No, it is definitely early on.
Wow, would he even admit to that anymore?
You know, everybody claims everything in the end, but I'm sure he would not thank you for bringing that to him.
Let's try.
Have you ever seen Marc Silvestri at a show?
I think I've seen his name a couple of times. I've never actually seen him. So, what do you take that as thou wilt. So,
but
I've been spending a lot of time with my comic books as well.
Ooh.
I've spent probably 6-8 hours over the last 3 days up in the attic organizing, trying to figure out how to get rid of shit. I'm getting rid of a lot of shit, man. I'm almost ready to buy those boxes to rebox them all. I've got dividers. I've got a new plan for how to organize them, But I gotta get rid of all these boxes of shit, man. They've got to go.
So how much more shit ended up? Like, I thought you were in pretty good shape there. Like, you were down to like a box and a half of shit.
No, there was more than that. It was I consolidated all the shit boxes,
Right.
and I got them to 2 long boxes. I pulled a bunch of crap that I'm never going to read again.
What'd you pull?
And I'm certain I'm never going to sell. Well, not certain. The Wake is going bye-bye.
It was not your favorite.
Zatanna's going bye-bye. As much as I enjoyed it, and you hated it.
I did hate it.
I did have more fun with it than you did.
Well, it was not challenging.
No, not at all. Hey.
It wasn't. Hey.
I'm pretty sure that was meant as an insult to me.
No, in this case, it was not. All right, looks like this was... all right, he did this in 1982. His earliest work was in 1981. Ghosts, House of Mystery, The Unexpected, and Weird War Tales.
Well, dang.
Yeah, those would be some random ones to find. So yeah, that'd be fun to actually show him and have him be like, dude, you suck.
Good luck with that. And then he got all scratchy when he got X-Men. Yeah, he's a very different style right now in that old premiere stuff. But whatever. So,
all right, so
I'm getting rid of the Wake. I'm getting rid of Zatanna. Pulling a bunch of books from the Star Wars various runs. I got just about a long box of those.
That you're getting rid of, or just separating?
It's just separating out, organizing better. The Power Girls, I'm going to get all signed, and anything that's not by
Connor?
Damiani Gray Connor is going bye-bye. Because I didn't give a shit what
Yeah, that
they
book-
did with it after that.
Yeah.
I didn't care. It was not fun anymore. It was not funny anymore. It was just like, oh, here's fucking Kara punching things. I don't give a shit. Be funny. You promised me funny for 14 fucking issues. You gave me funny. You gave me Space Burt Reynolds, for fuck's sake.
Space Sean Connery.
Zardoz.
Quite literally.
Either way. I mean, it works either way. You could make a case for either of those characters being that guy. So, I say Burt Reynolds. You say Sean Connery. Tomato, go fuck yourself.
That's how the song goes.
Pretty much. Not the fuck yourself part.
No?
Right?
That's the way I learned it.
I've never heard it the whole way through. So
Well,
whatever.
yeah.
And, yeah, the Star Wars books are going to get their own book. I was kind of haphazard when I boxed all these 2 years ago in the great reorg of 2012.
That was an epic moment.
I put most of the newest volumes in the front because I figured it would be easier to put new things
Which
closer
goes
to the
against
front of
your
the box.
basic...
No, I'm still going to do that.
Really?
But I'm going to keep it more uniform because I wasn't always uniform from box to box to box.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, because if you're gonna be flipping through stuff to like get signed, or I want to remind myself of that story, whatever. The more recent ones are probably going to be the ones you're thinking of, so they should be up front. You know, most people would say Volume 1 in the front, Volume 2.
Yeah, that's how
but
I
that
do
would
things.
That would leave the newest volumes way in the back of the box where you gotta actually try.
So all this is basically to avoid stretching.
But yeah.
Wow.
Who the fuck are you talking to?
Apparently, with the purple shirt, Grimace.
Mr. Non-Effort. And go fuck yourself. God, a guy can't have a... Look at Mr. fucking ISIS Commando over here.
It was like
It's fucking camouflage in the middle of the day, in the middle of Connecticut.
Yeah, but you know what the great thing about that is? I could wear I bought this was a work shirt, but underneath, Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
40-year-old guy wearing an Oscar the Grouch t-shirt. Ladies come a running. Nope, Commodore wife already stole this away.
The 4 people listening to this don't care.
No, I wouldn't either. All right, so the great reorg. Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah?
When you reorg, does it... Because this is something I struggle with. I think about cleaning stuff out and whatnot. And I did once, but I ended up buying a bunch of shit again anyway, so a little frustrating. Do you ever think of dumping a large book?
A large book.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you ever look at, like... I mean, obviously you have your go-tos, like Iron Man, Captain, and Never Going Anywhere.
Yeah.
And then ones that aren't go-to, but like you like enough, like Superman and Spider-Man, that you wouldn't... But do you ever look at, like... Green Arrow or Flash and be like, dude, fuck this guy. You know what I mean?
I liked a lot of Flash.
Fair, but you see my point. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to use an example. Because I did too. Like, I would never dump the Wade Flashes. I like
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And obviously Green Arrow I'm a big fan of. As
You might
like
get
him
the Green
too.
Arrows back.
But not my point. But what I'm saying is, like, do you ever look and be like, just want, like, it's hard to get rid of an entire...
Yeah.
Because there's so...
Yeah.
If it's any sort of a decent-sized character... I mean, with the exception of, like, Wolverine, where I'm like, fuck you! You over-fucking used... And even then, I still have a couple here or there, like the Muth Havoc Wolverine miniseries.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Muth. Who the fuck did that? Williams?
John J. Muth, yeah.
Okay. But, you know what I mean? Like, do you ever just want to be like, dude, get the fuck out?
Oh, yeah.
But it's so challenging because there's so much to it.
I have other things that I'm definitely earmarking. Like, I don't remember any stories really standing out as, I've got to keep that from, like, Adventures of Superman. You know, the one that got restarted in 87 or whatever.
Right, yep.
And Man of Steel from the 90s.
Awful
I don't
book.
remember anything interesting in
I
there.
think I gave you a few. A lot of Louise Simonson writing on that, I believe. You know, it's for me, Superman. It's so hard because I want to like things, and then whenever I pick them up, I'm like, God damn it! Like I bought an annual in a $1 bin, and I actually have it earmarked for if I ever do those fucking articles. It's an annual in which a space sword. Superman finds a space sword and uses it to fight crime, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this going on? And it's got a Eduardo Barreto cover, and Kurt Swan did the art. So it's like your classic Superman. I'm like, why is this happening? Like, what are you doing? How did this book last? Why is this the most popular guy ever? And then, like, so often you read a Superman story, you're like, no.
Don't need him.
You know, but yeah, like, even with that, the idea of dumping, like, obviously I'd keep all the Byrne Superman because that's, you know, my bread and butter, but at the same time, like, you know, I think about getting rid of, I'm like, no, but, you know, it's Superman. I have all these old random ones.
Well, maybe a thing that you might want to do is after Byrne left on Volume 2, you get rid of. And then that way you can keep the really old stuff, and you can say, I've got tons of old Superman.
Yeah.
And then you get the decent stuff from Byrne, but then you're not concerning yourself with people you don't even remember who the fuck wrote it.
No, I mean, the only Superman I would try to pick up now are the McGinnis issues. Like, because I like him as an artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, even though the writing actually stepped up, like some of the runs I gave you were pretty interesting, but I would not rebuy them. Like all the MMN stuff from the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so convoluted, and like it's like Superman. Like if you just pick up a random issue of 90s Superman, I don't know why we're talking about this on Indie Week, but it's so fucking convoluted. The number of storylines. Like, I remember, like, reading one where Superman was working for a different publisher who was actually, like, Lord Satanus, the evil villain.
Oh,
and
God.
Bibbo's floating around. And Maggie Sawyer.
They had to have that stupid shield to tell you which order to read the fuckers in.
Yeah, and then you had, on top of that, you had all these different other Metropolitan superheroes floating around. Like the Guardian.
The Guardian.
And who's that jackhole with the shield, Peacekeeper?
That's
like
the Guardian.
Yeah, there was another
You're
one too.
Gangbuster.
Gangbuster. Fuck Gangbuster. God damn.
Fucking nunchucks hanging off his belt. A bad catcher's fucking armor on his face.
And it was like Superman pretended to be Gangbuster for like a minute and a half, and then a real one came out and he was dating Lois Lane. Like monkey shit everywhere.
See, those are the ones that are going.
Yep, the Intergang floating around. God. Yeah, I brought up the Intergang. Fuck
Intergang.
You.
Wow. I had hoped not to remember the word Intergang. And having established that, we've wasted almost 20 fucking minutes already. So why don't we talk about Big Trouble in Little China 2?
Big Trouble.
Now, the thing is, Jack and Egg, which kills me every time. Hello, Egg. How are you today?
How did they think that was a good idea? Like, you know, what?
Egg? The name Egg? I don't know how they thought that was a good idea. But they've got, like, what, 3 days or something to travel the dark road to bring peace to bad guys and companions in exchange for the heroes, and Jack's wife became a vampire. We get weird backstory about all his fucking wives, which is kind of starting to grow on me because he's starting to be funny.
Yeah, it's a fun book. It's not like you miss the Powell art where the insane and the beautiful somehow combine. It's a solid artist, and he does a really good job with that damn monkey dog demon thing. But the Kurt Russell likeness looks like something out of not even Mad Magazine, but like Cracked.
It's true.
Like it's that.
It's true.
It's a likeness, but it's played for comedic. It's all chin and mullet.
It's definitely caricature, but it's fun. It absolutely is.
There's these weird monkey cultists, and Egg steals their deviled eggs, so they go monkey ninja, and Jack has to kick monkey ass. So there's a monkey vengeance plot in the back, and it's like, wait, what am I even saying? Like, where is that coming from? That's the plan.
So it was fun.
It is a fun book.
It developed. I was number one. I was kind of like, so.
I think what we really need to do to get into this book, and you can't do it every time, but we should revisit Big Trouble in Little China. Because it is, the great thing about Big Trouble in Little China is that it was an insane world.
But I did try to rewatch it.
Well, yeah, when?
I got like 4 weeks ago.
Really? You didn't tell me that.
I didn't finish it.
Why? It's phenomenal.
I didn't care.
Oh, dude.
It wasn't hitting.
I am ashamed to know you.
I didn't even get the low pan yet, man.
Well, of course it wasn't hitting then.
And Dalton made me use a low pan for his icon on my phone.
That's hysterical. Of course he did. I'm surprised he didn't use Shaft, but other than that,
I may have to swap it for him.
well, you need one of the old school like Frank Robbins, Luke Cage pictures. Like
That's great.
I should grab that fucking Power Man graphic I have and let him take a look at that. That's insanity.
He would love it. He might actually have some time to do something about it, too, now that his family is on this goddamn road trip. But that's got nothing to do with the Shadow Zero.
That is true.
You're going to go kill another bee, aren't you?
Yes.
All right, we're on our way again.
Shadow Zero.
Now, this whole let's have our hero training again and again and again and again thing is useful at points, but I'm tired of seeing people training. I just want them to kick some ass now.
Well, I mean, you have the shadow training with Houdini, so you've got that. The longer a licensed character exists, the more likely it is that he's going to meet everyone famous and slightly cool from that period.
Well, that much, it was nice that he was training specifically with Houdini. But, I mean, you could have just saved me a shitload of pages and said, when I trained with Houdini, and then go kick some ass.
But he's fighting magicians, so there's a back and forth. It's a classic comic book thing.
I can see that.
The cool thing is that if you know your shadow backstory, like I do, the Shadow was created by Maxwell Grant. Yeah. Maxwell Grant was the pen name for a guy named Walter B. Gibson. Walter B. Gibson was very familiar. He wrote a biography of Houdini. He did a lot of work on like stories about magicians and interviews with magicians. His name, Maxwell Grant, came from two magicians. I'm not going to remember their names, so fuck off. The first name of one and the last name of the other, who were famous for tricks involving shadows.
Like Nick Cage.
But so one did the trick where he'd walk away and his shadow would stay still. The other one, used shadows throughout his act. So he actually took his pen name. You can't see it, but
I got my lips going.
But yeah, so whoever wrote this, I don't remember off the top of my head, really knew his background at least, and is a shadow enthusiast to some degree because you have that idea of everything behind the shadow.
Yeah, okay.
So pretty cool that. All right. So while it was filler and like the magicians, it's kind of funny. Like, I throw cards really hard. I'm going to knock your gun away. I'm going to kill you. I use the rings as deadly razor weapons. I'm going to kill you. The shadow is very one note in that sense. It's like, you're very tricky and annoying. I shoot you.
What more does he need?
Well, the Punisher would make a career on it years later. Mac Bolan, like the people, everyone steals from the shadow. They may not realize it, but if you go back to anti-hero-dom Batman, there's actually a Batman, one of the few really cool Batmans I own that I have not given you, because invariably it's like, fuck it, just take it. You need it. I don't care. Is a really early in the 290s, I think, or three. I've showed it to you. I have this beat to shit copy of where the Shadow and Batman team up. And Batman talks about how the Shadow was an influence on his career. And the insane 70s Batman who could do, Disco Stew Batman period.
Disco Stew. I love 70s Batman. I cannot wait to catch up on my 2000s and 90s and 80s so I can get back to buying the 70s Batman. Of course, I'll have 3 long boxes of the fucking Batman by then, but whatever.
You still do occasionally. The problem is, because you're focusing on different eras, you kind of randomize it, and it's impossible when it gets that big to remember covers as well as you want.
Absolutely.
And you have to err on the side of, buying it, because so often you've seen famous covers and whatnot.
All true.
If you don't buy a cool cover because you're like, I know this cover, it could just be because you've read about it in any number of the 80 fucking books on Batman you perused in your time.
Exactly right. Now, irritatingly, we got more Shadow, but somehow I think we got stiffed because I know that we marked this off.
I can't imagine that we didn't order it.
I know I asked for Shadow Midnight in Moscow 1, but we only got 2.
Now, is there a way to go back and look at that? Or, like, do you just assume you got credit? Like, do you take them at their word in this kind of scenario? Or what's your...
I can look back on the order form, but that doesn't guarantee that they filled it out when I gave it to them. You know? I mean, I can look at mine and say whether I wrote it down.
Right.
But then they take the order form and they translate it into some bill of lading or whatever the fuck.
So you can basically assume that you didn't get charged for it, though.
Yeah.
All right, well, we can live with
It's
that.
something, anyhow. But in any case, Cranston has decided, in a nutshell, that he's had enough of this horse shit. He's given up. He's done. He's retiring. He's going to go to fucking Cabo.
Well, we know that he, if you follow Chaykin Shadow, we know that he goes back to Shambhala for the next 40 years and comes back when somebody starts murdering all of his little sidekicks.
Yeah.
And he brings back his sons who form a crappy rock band and all sorts of
I think he would have
insanity.
had more fun in Cabo, though.
Well, the Howard Chaykin Shadow fucks a lot. Like, which is kind of a theme in Chaykin books.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Chaykin enjoys having his characters get down.
So you do have a central theme there. So it's not like he was too upset with his career path. It's like, well, I'm in this ancient mystical village which I'm the protector of. Now I bang. Yeah, like...
Now I bang.
So,
wow.
But yeah, so you have the Shadow, but meanwhile he's still trying to finish off. It doesn't work. The idea of the Shadow retire, like, it doesn't make sense. It's like in the films of Batman that they recently did, there was that whole Batman has to step away at some point. And you're like, okay, from this purpose of the film, I'm going to let you go with this. But the Batman doesn't retire. Batman dies on the job because he's an insane fuck. You keep skipping that central point. It's like, oh, I can hang out with the supermodels in my insanely awesome penthouse and super fuck mansion. But no, I want to go out and get punched in the nuts by insane freaks. Batman is a crazy fucking lunatic. Like, it's integral to his character. It's like, I could do something that isn't horrible. And I don't. Ever. Like, even Superman occasionally is like, fuck it, I'm going to go take Lois Lane to a movie. Me and Wonder Woman are going to get a hot dog and a bourbon.
They do. They do.
But Batman doesn't take time off even when it makes sense.
Ugh. So, I mean, that translates to the Shadow.
Because the idea of the Shadow retiring, like, in the film, they're like, Batman's going to retire. And you're like, okay, fine, but it's not going to happen. He's never going to retire. He's the Batman. At the end of this film, he's still going to be wearing the fucking cape going, I'm going to punch you in the face, Joker. Like, that's what I do. And fucking, there's no way that the Shadow, like, the Shadow is beyond crazy Cocoa Pants.
Crazy Cocoa Pants.
So you know that he's going to keep fucking shooting people. So the whole idea of a retirement just doesn't fit somehow. And the idea, I have to finish these gangs first. What, because new gangs aren't going to show up? These gangs are the key ones? Like, crime's going to be done after these?
Well, you know, as long as he feels a sense of closure, then his responsibility is discharged. He's never going to feel a sense of closure.
That's the thing.
But that's the excuse in the plot.
Right.
So.
But it is ironic if you know the future of the Howard Chaykin Shadow, the Howard Shadow. Let's just go that way. Howard Shadow. Howard Shadow and his amazing shadow tricks. Wow. But you're sitting there and all these mascots and sidekicks. They're like, oh, have a great day, Shadow. Good working with you. I'm going to miss shooting criminals in the face and being a hostage. And you're like, you get murdered in bed. You literally get stuffed in a water cooler and blood comes out of the fucking faucet, which isn't even possible, but was just gross.
Wow, you know too much Shadow. We should move on.
I
could spend the rest of the episode on Shadow.
Yeah, and not even feel like I was shortchanging anybody. If you want to go back to the DC's Denny O'Neil and Mike Kaluta Shadow, then yes, I know way too much about the Shadow. All right, what's up next?
SKULLKICKERS 29.
Dude, this is basically the entire issue is basically a fight song for dwarven robots.
Yes, because Rolf has finally gotten the chance to pilot the WarTyke that he's been fiending over since he was a baby dwarf. What do you call a baby dwarf? Do baby dwarves have specific names? Dwarfling. Okay, good.
I don't know if that's accurate, but it works.
No, it's fine. Absolutely.
Every now and then you're just like, no, fuck it. For today, done. Yep.
He kicked some serious glacier giant ass. Excuse me. That's a copyright infringement, maybe. You have to be careful with that.
Oh, God, this book is so much fun. But, like, the physics of Rolf will get played so hard and fast. Like, he was a pile of goo in a bucket, and they pour him into the WarTyke, and then he comes out as this slightly off-kilter Rolf.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, But I'm a little heartbroken because they announced they're canceling the book. One more story arc, another 6 to 8 issues or whatever, and they're going to, like, they had a...
I had totally missed that. I did not know.
It was in the little, like, letter at the end.
Oh, I
you usually skip those things.
Yeah, I almost never read the text pieces.
But yeah, so they have one more storyline. They have hit all the stories they had intended to tell. So the book always, I guess, had a finite ending.
Yeah,
but it's so awesome. I'm like, no, dude, no.
But to be fair, I mean, they are giving us Starro.
That's true. The
tell me that's not Starro.
Medieval Starro.
It's a great book, and now that you've told me, I'm very sad.
Yeah, you don't really want it to go away.
No, but it's one less book to pay for.
So
Moriarty 5,
which ends the Moriarty Lives.
About damn time. No, it was a fine book. It was just taking forever because of delays.
Well, the thing is, it is a lot of fun. It's a very weird story.
It's a bit odd. It's not the kind of thing I usually associate with the world of Holmes.
No, I mean, it's not like Zombie Holmes or
Zombie
it's not versus
so
Dracula.
Far removed,
but you have this central, like, Moriarty lives in a darker world than Holmes theoretically, so it's darker. And then, but there's all these little things, like this little kid character that just keeps taking out people's eyes.
Yeah, it just suddenly becomes an utter ruthless badass.
Yeah.
He double-crosses poor Moriarty, but then, of course, Moriarty can tell he's double-crossed him, so he's like, ha ha ha, child, you thought I wouldn't notice that you were plotting behind my plots.
You threw
Here's a plot for you, fucko.
How dare you throw the money in the river? Now take the money out of your money belt and hand it over. And all Moriarty's sidekicks get paid, which was nice. They didn't do some sort of fucked up, like, I get all the money, I screw all the people over. So they're playing him as a villain with not honor, that's too stereotypical. But you have the final fight with the Duke, who's a giant jackhole.
Hate that guy.
And they, it goes nowhere too exciting. It was a good read and I enjoyed it. It's worth picking up, but I don't know that you needed $4 per book for this at the end. Like, at the ending, you weren't like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens next. If there's another one, I would pick it up.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like, you have to buy Moriarty Lives. It didn't quite live up to the original awesomeness at the premise.
Yeah, I'm not certain either that they needed 5, but the more I think about it, I think if they tried to compress it into 4, it would have suffered more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's fine. So I want to say something about this, but it's your pick. And it's your guy, and it's your passion. So I'm going to let you talk all about GROO versus Conan.
Well, again in the text pieces, it was revealed that this book has taken long to come out due to a serious illness on Sergio Aragonés' part. Obviously, he's past that now, but it took a while for this to get done. What they do with this book is very smart because it doesn't work. It's an awesome idea, but they're doing them in 2 different art styles.
Right.
So, and one of the problems is that the Conan artist that they're using is just cartoony enough to try and flick it together. But you're like, you know what? If you're going to do that, have like stark, totally insane Conan art, and then Sergio Aragonés' art, not semi-cartoony. And
yeah, it was just on the edge of what you could really deal with as Conan art.
But what they really do is they visit areas, but they mostly hang out with Sergio and Marc. And Sergio bangs his head and is convinced that he's Conan. He's running around with art pages, which is the best way to do this. Is like dipping your toe in, because to get 4 issues out of this seems really challenging. There are some funny moments, But
I can't believe Evanier put himself in there like that.
he always does. They show up all the time in their stuff.
Fucking Evanier. Whatever. God. So, I mean, it was fun enough, I guess. It didn't really move forward too quickly for even just one issue.
It's true.
So we'll see what number 2 has in store. If I remember right, it was slightly more fun, but not exactly hilarious.
I am looking forward to it. It does... You can't always dip chocolate in peanut butter. It just doesn't happen. Otherwise, there'd be way too many awesome candies out there. Like, certain flavors can be great on their own, but you can't combine everything. And I think that these two are well suited. My real curiosity is how much of GROO comes from the fact that Conan is like a major passion of Sergio Aragonés, or how much comes from the fact that Conan was just so insanely popular in the late 70s that it was ripe for satire.
I'm thinking more of the latter than the former.
That's where I lean, but I am curious.
It's definitely, it's definitely a factor that he digs it.
But yeah, because you want, Pacific Comics was doing GROO in the late 70s, early 80s.
Pacific. God, I haven't even thought of that publisher name.
Yep. I mean, his first appearance was in an issue of Destroyer Duck, for fuck's sake.
That's right. I had forgotten that. Destroyer Duck. Dude, write in, tell us your favorite Destroyer Duck memory, and we will give you free comic books.
That would be amazing, man. I've never even read an issue of Destroyer Duck, and I read everything with a goddamn duck in it.
I want to know what someone who's actually read it got the impression.
We now have to go out and find a Destroyer Duck just to find out what the fuck.
We can try.
Yeah. I mean, they have to exist.
Some of them do somewhere. So yeah, that's the take on that. Now, Goon, Occasion of Revenge. I would have thought 4 would have been grammatically better, but
well, the goon in grammar is hardly.
Yeah, that's true too. Number 1, there's some weird priests. A weird priest. I don't know. There's some undead. There's shit in a beer mug, which creeped me out terribly. There's a dame and general weirdness.
The Goon is not your favorite. We've talked about that in depth in previous issues. But I feel like if this issue is a good jumping out, we only did this kind of by accident because I wanted the Jack Davis cover one shot, and you're like, he's back into the Goon.
Figured you really wanted this one.
And so we'll finish this series out.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because this is a good jumping on point. It seems like the Goon's at a down period. But it's not like if you read the Goon from the beginning, you have way more depth in the characters. No.
Probably not.
No, their zombie sidekick is a zombie sidekick. Like, that's most of the explanation that you get. And they'll trickle things out here or there. One of the Mudd brothers has passed away, and if that's a fucking cliffhanger for you, fuck off. Like, come on. All right? They're half tree stumps, okay? They weren't going to make it to the end. It seems that they're teamed up with the zombie priest. That was a little confusing, but...
Teeny bit.
I felt like, as I was reading this, I'm like, this would be a good moment for Tech. Like, there's a lot of depth to this story in terms of darkness and the build-up with light humor. And then there's a poop and a beer joke, and I'm like, because that's what you hate. Like, he can draw. He can legitimately draw. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
And he does, like, dark noir well with a light sense of humor.
Yes, absolutely.
But he hits this childish thing that I think is funny and really just pisses you off, for lack of a better term. Because I think...
There's lighthearted, and then there's crude childish.
Right.
I have very specific delineations on those in my mind. In my mind.
In my mind's eye, I don't want poop in a beer mug.
I don't.
Here's your title right there.
I'm not using that as a fucking title.
But the fact of the matter is like, I felt... I
Start
think
getting
you agree.
scatological fans in there. I don't need anybody who rented Cockabootin coming in listening to my fucking podcast.
I don't want to know what that is. I don't want to know what that is. I don't want to know
Ken
what
told
that is.
you what that was.
Oh, that's right. God damn it. Filthy hobos. No, they're really filthy hobos on the TV screen. No, I think you'd agree. Like, this is probably the closest to a Goon storyline you'd be. Like, the weird cult thing falls into Baltimore and Witchfinder and...
Yeah, so far it grabs a little bit better than the others have.
Like, if you could just not have a giant beer mug filled with poop...
That would be a whole nother bag, man.
Like, I don't mind that at all, but it would speak to you more. But I do think from a casual fan standpoint, you could pick this one up, do this 4-issue miniseries, and get a pretty good idea of the Goons world. Way better than the one-shot where they just follow a drunken sailor around and punch things.
I don't even know why that was published. That's like that. It's the same as. That's another one I'm getting rid of.
What's that?
That's because you're a robot.
Oh,
That is going the fuck out, baby. I'm giving that fucker away, and they're not even getting the bag and the board for it. I am keeping the bag and the board. That fucking book is gone. Because you're a robot. Man. Eat my ass.
Oh, did you find any Manifest Destinies floating down there?
One?
Okay, cool.
2 maybe, tops. You want them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because remember we...
That's right. I remember now. Yes,
some ended here, some ended there.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's the Goon for us. So, the unexciting and borderline boring Conan the Avenger continues to be exactly that in this issue, where the Shagath, whoever the fuck they are, have hired Conan to lead their forces against the Punt, whoever the fuck they are, who still think they have a witch because they're morons.
The Witchfinder storyline is kind of gone, but still going on. Meanwhile, Conan is leading troops. Like, Conan's the greatest general of his time. He leads his troops. He's banging the fat, horrible king's sister, who's the real power behind the throne. And while he's doing that, he's imagining Balit, but he's forgetting Balit because, A, he's banging another girl, and B, like, she's a killer, but it's different. Like, Balit did her own killing and walked around, with bare feet in the blood, as he points out.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, you miss?
Really, Bubba?
But there's some depth to the Conan character in this, but I'm not connecting with this Conan.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that time has come. Maybe there's a reason that Conan is no longer the huge epic character that he was, or maybe, Fred Van Lente is just not nailing what we want to in this book.
I don't know, man. It's not that far, time-wise, we're not that far removed from what Busick was doing, and that was stunning.
But most of what Busick was doing was variations on the actual Howard stories.
Well, that much is true, too. But
there were variations on that, but a lot of it was taken from, like, canon Conan stuff. This, of course, is an entirely made-up fucking weirdness. But yeah, like, I just, I wanted to like this. I like Fred Van Lente. I love Conan. I'm like, all right, again, chocolate and peanut butter sometimes ends up being a Cadbury cream egg or some shit that you just don't want.
I can't eat those anymore.
No?
Those fucking hurt my teeth, man. I can't. I get a bite out of that, and my teeth go, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? What is these sugar molecules penetrating right to the fucking nerve?
Yeah, that stuff is not so good.
It used to be. I could eat 1,000 of those fucking things when I was a kid. Shit, yeah. All the way up to like 10 years ago. I was like, give me a fucking cream egg, bitch. Goddamn.
I did not know that was a favorite of yours.
It totally was. Although, I'll tell you the truth, the fudge-filled ones...
Never had one of those.
Oh, so much better. It's not pure fucking liquid sugar is what it is.
Oh, okay.
The fudge-filled ones are so much better. And we don't get to have them for another 6 months. But, yeah, Conan is not kicking it.
No, it's done. I think we have maybe 1 or 2 more coming in, but...
Yeah, there's the August one, which you haven't read yet, and then there's the September one, which will be the last one. So, now, Trees, number 3, it's a very confusing book. I don't understand why giant trees are important in Somalia, other than like a helicopter base or some shit. But in this one, we go from this weird sci-fi character, Pike, whatever the fuck his name was, as professor guy takes in the gangsta mall as some half-assed protege.
Yeah, the little kid
artist. Where the fuck does that fit in with alien trees?
The thing is, I don't like this book. I think what Warren Ellis is doing is actually kind of impressive, is that he's taken a weird science concept and he's done a lot of depth to it. Like, it's a world building. Like, okay, let's take the scenario that insane trees have shown up and you can't blow them up and you can't use nuclear bombs and they're just fucking giant alien trees all over the planet. And then what happens to the world? And the answer is, I don't fucking care. Like, there aren't cool aliens. Nothing neat is happening. Like, there's a little bit of like, oh, it's the end of the world. We're crazy peoples.
But why is
mostly
it the end of the world?
It's political science and mumbo jumbo, and I don't give two rats ass about any of it. Fucking Brazilian street, like this is all depth, and like if you're gonna give me an alien book, I want a fucking ray gun. I want I like depth. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy but there's no fun to this either.
No, there really isn't.
Like if you're gonna do all this, I want to at least be captivated. I don't understand any of it.
Which must really sting you because you like Ellis a lot.
I do, but you know what? Ellis does so much stuff, and it's so all over the place. Like later on, we're going to be visiting a Garth Ennis book. And Garth Ennis does a lot of different things, but they all venture into the same kind of key areas.
That's another thing I'm going to do with the boxes. All those battlefields, I'm going to trade those in for trades.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Because almost none of them are complete anyway.
Oh, okay.
There's like 6 3-issue miniseries, and I have like one of them complete, so whatever.
No, you have more than that. I mean, you have all the
2 tops.
Night Witches, you have all the...
Night Witches is not complete.
Really? I
Yep.
totally thought you had finished that.
Night Witches is not complete. Dear Billy's not complete.
No,
the Tankies is.
Yes, I know you had all the Tankies.
Major General and the Firefly, or whatever the fuck it was.
I don't think I even saw one of those.
His Majesty and the Firefly.
I don't even think I saw one
That
of
was
those.
more tanks. That one's complete. But there's like 3 others that still aren't complete. So I'm like, we're talking less than 2 dozen issues, so why not trade them out?
And you already have one graphic of that anyway, don't you?
No, war stories.
Oh, okay.
Not strictly this
Battlefield.
stuff. Battlefields, yeah.
But yeah, Garth Ennis hits certain areas, but he hits them almost consistently, and he does it with a lot of depth in some things and absolutely no depth in others.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some exceptions, like some of his Marvel work, but for the most part, he kind of keeps stepping into the same grounds.
Yeah.
Warren Ellis is so spread out over so many different things, and if you can't look at something like DV8 and fucking Transmetropolitan and see the diametric opposites. So, or fucking Stranger Kisses, which no one wants to read.
I don't even know that one.
Strange Kisses? Yes, you absolutely do. The guy with the lizard where his cock was supposed to be.
Oh, that one. God damn it. Stop bringing that thing up. Shit. All right, no more Ellis tonight. Outcast 2.
Oh, speaking of pure, unadulterated misery.
Yeah. I finally determined that the main character's name is Kyle.
Well, that's good.
Now, Kyle visits his mom, who's in the hospital and lamenting life. Things are too terrible. The pastor visits him, and they got this weird dynamic between them because the pastor exorcised him, so they had a kind of a bond. But Kyle doesn't give a shit because he's too mad about having been possessed and having done the things he did to the people he did them to.
Well, that's only part of it. I think you might want to revisit that one. Because Kyle's mom was possessed. That's why she abused him. Kyle's wife was possessed. That's why he killed her.
Yeah, I do
And
have
Kyle's
that backwards.
daughter was possessed. That's why he had to beat her up.
That's right. I had that all backwards.
Right. So Kyle has this constant, like everyone he's cared about, this random demon has shown up, fucked him over. And in the past, it took him a long time to recognize it. When his mom was doing it, he's like, well, I remember when you were a good mom. Then you're just a crazy bitch. And it's like, I didn't really consider the fact you might have a demon and you're riding you around like a fucking little mouse in a remote control car. Run Kyle down. No, I didn't think about that, Mom, and I feel kind of bad about that. All those times I thought about hitting you with a girder.
A girder.
Should have been thinking about the demon.
So this giant douchebag Donnie shows up, who apparently had something to do with his sister, and he's on his AA trip O forgiveness.
Right. I think Donnie abused the sister, which is why Kyle and
the cop go to town on his
Well, that's
ass.
the sister's husband.
Yeah, the cop is the husband, yes. His cop brother-in-law gets involved. Cop and Kyle talk for a while, but they still walk away pissy at each other. Because cop dude, cop does not understand anything about possession. So he's just all like, you did all this stuff because you're a bad person.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, who would, at the end of the day, dude, we're talking about a guy who beat up his daughter.
Yeah.
And if you put yourself in that cop's position, it's like, well, yeah, okay, you just helped me kick the ass of the guy who attacked your sister and my wife. Like, we're cool for right now. But you also fucked up your own kid, and I kind of want to shoot you in the face a bunch of times. Tell me that wouldn't be exactly where you are.
Oh, sure.
And if they're like, well, she was possessed, and I had to beat the shit out of the...
Possessed, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, pal.
All right, but then you have what appears to be the demon showing up and talking to the mom and being like, well, you tried so hard to stop me, and it didn't work for shit. Demons are mean, man. Like, you know that in theory, but every now and then you would just read something, you're like, no, demons are dicks.
And that's Outcast. I don't know how that's going so far sales-wise. A lot of people are saying it's... a lot of critics are saying it's quite amazing, but I'm just like, it's okay so far.
It's very good. I mean, it's very well done. Like, he's playing with very deep emotions. Like, this is also Kirkman stepping outside of another box.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Going back to the previous conversation, here's Kirkman who does, like, well, here's Walking Dead, and here's Invincible, and here's that shitty Wolfman book.
Spectacular Wolfman.
Right, and here's Brit, and now here's Outcast. You know, so many... But there's such a depth and thought to the ideas here. Like, if you're watching this film, you're like, wow, they're really fucking... Like, taking your base horror genre and taking a very intellectual look at it. But at the same time, like, it's a comic book. Like, it's a demon slice of life film right now. I'm not overly down with that.
Wow, that description really... I don't like that. A demon slice of life.
Well, you're like, here's post-possession Johnny, and no.
Post-possession. All right. Well, holy crap, we're almost an hour in already. Now, the thing is, there is no thing. What am I saying? I don't know what I'm doing.
No, Ben Grimm is the thing.
The
thing is Ben Grimm.
Right, you got that right. What? No, Revival 22 is our next book.
Oh, well, that's totally different. That's another
Which
dude,
is
Ben Grimm.
a huge... I always use a third of a page to say what's going on in this fucking book, any given issue. Now, this roadie guy, who turns out to be a complete fucking nutbag, who slices himself up and dies on screen for YouTube hits, is still hanging around with them. They're kind of sleeping together. They're having fun. It's freaky bad, though. It's like...
Yeah, you know, I get the idea, like, I'm dead and I need to feel alive, but...
I
like,
kind of get that, but that's excessive. He's also doing it for hits.
Well, it's... You forget... Revival is so good, you forget sometimes that it's a horror book first.
Yeah.
And because it's so captivating, and it's so, like... There's such a complete world to it, that every now and then... And that's the horror moment. It's like, oh, here's this person. Oh, and I like to take a knife and whittle myself.
Oh, yeah.
Cut off my own Johnson and have it grow back. That's disgustipating.
Now, in a final, long-awaited, like, 2-year build-up, Lester and the Chief finally catch one of the schmoos.
The chief, as in the Indian chief, not the police chief.
Yeah.
Because
that would be sheriff, actually.
Well, you know,
that's
it's
the differentiation.
Old Fuck Central gets a little confusing when you don't delineate. Dude, if you didn't enjoy the part where he takes a leather whip and beats him for ruining his dog, like, you weird, freaky, unknown thing, I don't give two shits about science or mankind or the millions of dollars I could get. I'm Jack Goddamn Lane and you hurt my dog. Wait, what?
It's true. No, Martha and M are the same person.
I love how you use the names like it helps in the slightest. You have to go with, you have to, like, delineate to base character, like the deputy.
The deputy is still in New York,
right?
She discovers a Wall Street cabal may be involved with the schmooze and the black market distribution of reviver body parts, and in fact, revivers themselves.
Meanwhile, the disease guy gets hypnotized by a hot voodoo lady,
and it doesn't help.
It's amazing how they can roll this many storylines.
It's nuts, and I'm glad he said that there was a definite ending to this, because otherwise they really could make this last forever and start losing momentum and start being weird and stupid.
It is beyond weird, but it is in no way stupid.
Exactly.
It is legitimately still a great book. It is, however, I think for most people, there's no jumping on point. Like, at no point.
No, there isn't. There absolutely is
There'll
not.
never be a revival with good jumping on point for new readers.
Never.
Nope. Fuck off. Go back, buy the graphics. You're doomed.
Pretty much, man. Now, they end with rich people, cannibal people. And
they're going to eat a reviver to hopefully gain his power.
They're going to eat the chicken that was smarter than other chickens and absorb its power.
First you get the chicken, then you get the power, then you get the women.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
Baby, that's my arm. So, I found out that NAILBITER is actually an ongoing.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to give it up at 6.
Really? I thought you were enjoying it.
I am, but I went into it thinking that I wouldn't have to pay for it forever.
Interesting.
So
it's
and I
funny
don't
how
know-
the world has changed. You're like, this
This
is
is-
good. I'm getting rid of it.
this is not X-Files. It's not. You can't have a serial killer going out into the world and helping the cops. You could, but I mean, the serial killer stories should fucking end. You know, I don't care if the town is the spawning ground for all the major fucking serial killers in the country for the last 30 years. If you have one serial killer, that should be one story in my brain.
So you're going graphics for the future, or just walking away altogether?
You know, I'll see what number 6 says, and then I'll decide if I'm going to buy things in collected editions after that.
Because so far it's been pretty solid, if very weird.
Yeah. No, that all is true. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a bad book by any stretch, but I didn't know what I was getting into, and I'm trying to cut books. So why
add more?
Yeah. Why not cut this off at the end of the arc and call it even?
Well, I think you're taking... One of the interesting things that Image is doing right now, and you can see it particularly in Saga. You know, all these different things, is a lot of Image books aren't following arcs in the strictest sense of the term.
That's true.
Unlike DC is particularly bad in the 6th issue and done. Marvel is pretty blatant, except for the weirdness of Cap and Gillen's Tony Stark that went on forever. Though that, you know,
Gillen's leaving Iron Man too.
I'm heartbroken to hear that.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it.
Who's taking over?
I don't know yet, but they're gonna have to wow me.
Yeah, I mean, to go from Fraction to Gillen to...
Yeah. They're gonna have to try real fucking hard. So,
Tony Daniel.
oh God, no, fuck that. I don't even joke about that shit. So the thing is, a lynch mob comes for NAILBITER, which, you know, if you were living in a town and you had a serial killer available to lynch, it might be a reasonable thing to go lynch a
particularly
fucking serial killer.
If you found a high school kid hanging from the movie theater with the MO of the fingers chewed off, although it turns out they were plied off, equally horrible, slightly different. Like so many of our comics.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm not a big lynch mob fan, but yeah, you might be able to sign me up for that one. Like, hey, you want to go get that serial killer that's been living in our house that eats people's fingers? Well, I mean, Sons of Anarchy's on tonight, but shit, I got time. As long as we're back by 8, I'll lynch a serial killer. You know, fuck.
Now, we get some backstory because Crane rescues him, so they got time to talk. Crane is the sheriff deputy
That used to date him.
Now, even the coroner, for fuck's sake, has a serial killer relative in this book. For God's
That is
sake.
creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I don't like that character at all. Now, the bodies from the fire in 2 were not actually victims of nail-biters, and not even who they thought they were, which is what the guy coming in to investigate thought he was coming to investigate. What? How convoluted can you get here?
One of them is actually the body of a serial killer. So there's some very strange things
Not
happening.
the one they wanted, though.
No, and there's also a very cool moment, which the cinematic ideas behind this book, like they're playing with obviously serial killer movies, but the flashing of black and light with the serial killer moving in on them while they're in conversation, thinking the lights are flickering,
Yeah.
was just cool. Like there's little
Yeah.
thoughts. I think it's a very good book.
Well, you can keep buying it. I mean,
Fair enough.
I'll keep ordering it if you keep reading it, buying it. You know, so just not using my money.
We'll see how 6 is, but yeah, it is a very well done book. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the idea of it being ongoing seems to strain credulity a little bit,
a tiny bit. What else can you have that particular guy with his particular motif do later?
Well, particularly when you're dealing with the whole concept that, like, is it going to be an X-Files son of a bitch where you just keep going after new serial killers? Like, that seems unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, we already got a serial killer who goes after serial killers, and his name is Dexter, and I think that's plenty. Because that's a good fucking show.
That's true.
I did like that they had no, don't kill, no. Okay, good, they didn't kill her.
But you notice he didn't bother to move the other guy he left on the track, so that guy got mowed down into fucking dog
he
food.
was probably dead already anyway. But, yeah, I like the idea that they had the townspeople were like, you know, this is our town, and this is what happens in our town, but fuck it, you're not being buried in our cemetery. You get your own piece of shit cemetery.
Dude, that's got to be the creepiest place on earth. The serial killer's hometown serial killer cemetery. Like, I don't care how goth you are. You're like, no, I'm not doing that on Halloween. Are you out your mind? I'll be at home with the door locked, fucking reading Archie comics. I wouldn't even touch a hot stuff on Halloween in this town.
Well, I think that's our first hot stuff reference in 188 episodes.
That's very possible.
Wow. So that leaves us with Saga 21, where Alana gets all hippie, lefty, druggy about product placement and does some serious drugs, and she loves her fucking drugs now, man.
Yeah.
She's all about getting fucking high to escape the soul-crushing job that she does all day long, playing dress-up on, like, the universe's worst cable access channel.
As the universe turns.
The Marco is still hanging out with Hazel at the park and the dance instructor in her studio, but the dance instructor gets a little handy.
Yeah.
So he can't handle that, so he's like, I'm out, see it, fuck off, I can't, I gotta, she's nice too.
But there's also the risk of, like,
being discovered as a fucking fugitive who has a hybrid kid and everybody wants dead on 2 planets.
This is my first real problem with Saga.
Oh?
Which is that these guys would have been caught in about 7 fucking seconds. Like, they're the worst fucking refugees ever.
They're not very good at escaping or running.
No,
They
it's
really
like,
aren't.
I need to get out of the house. I'm going to go hang out in the park, and I'm going to talk to this woman who hates my kind, or my daughter's kind, and I'm just going to wrap my face in badly covered mattress pad. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's not even, that is not a good fucking disguise. Somehow it's Clark Kenting him through life right now.
Right. Oh, and for the record, if you are trying to hide out, bringing your giant walrus for kids to play with to the park.
No, bad idea. Sorry, Brian, but you missed it on this one.
Like, and it's not like you can sneak off quickly with a fucking walrus.
No! Who likes to menstruate all over everything?
Yes.
Hey, you're going to creep me out. I'm going to creep you out. Fuck you.
Right.
So
you just creeped yourself out with walrus menstruation.
So there's the most badass of all janitors in the universe is still getting away from killing Princess Robot 12 or whatever the fuck her name is,
and stealing Prince Robo, baby.
Prince Robo 13 Jr. Discount Prince Robot Jr. Prince
Madness.
4 finally snaps out of his weird, like, opium den, whorehouse reverie,
Hey,
and decides
sometimes
that
you gotta
he's
reboot.
absolutely had it, and he kills the madam.
Well,
We're
she
like-
did,
She did not tell him anything that was happening. She was just sucking up his dough while he was banging all her...
Well, he was kind of out of it. Like, he was comatose and weird. Like, they reboot him, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, by the way, your wife died. Like, maybe you ease him into it a little bit. Like, god damn.
That was a little rough.
No, and, this is why you do not tell a psychotic robot prince that his wife is dead, because he fucks you up. Like, rich people are different, and royal rich people are different from them. And if you're any kind of successful madam, you should have known that. Like, first off, you don't even go into that room. You're like, you send some other chick, like, go tell him his wife is dead. And when he shoots you with the fucking blender hand, I pay you, so it'll be okay. Like, you a dumb madam. Don't pimp if you can't live the lifestyle.
Oh, shit. Damn. What you know about pimping, boy?
Absolutely nothing. Couldn't be whiter. But
There'd be white pimps up in there.
I'm sure, but you know what? Not as white as me.
We don't know them.
Absolutely ridiculous. But no, yeah, it's still a phenomenal book, and I can't wait to see King Robo.
King Robo is a fucking trip and a half.
But yeah, when the full page shot of the robot fucking janitor holding the baby, a shotgun, and the spine and attached head of one of the few normals, whatever they call it, landwalkers. Jesus H. Christ, this book is fucked up.
You're gonna love King Robot, man.
Oh, I cannot wait for
His
King
head's
Robot.
bigger than your TV, man.
Nice.
Yeah. So, we finally got our fix of Velvet this month.
Oh, thank God.
What a great fucking book, dude. Complexity is the watchword for this book. And I love it, but I often summarize it probably badly. So, Velvet kills the contact for a mission in Prague for mentioning the mysterious Mockingbird.
Well, the Mockingbird was the mission in which she murdered her husband.
Which I was getting to.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, they didn't know that.
Well, they did if they're reading Velvet. And you should be!
No, not they. In story.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you heard, oh, yeah, what was that, on Mission Mockingbird? Boom! Oh, is that what happened on that mission? Now, we jumped to 73, which is kind of weird. The time frames on this thing is like, I'm going to jump to 73. I'm going back to 56. I'm coming back to 64.
Ed Brubaker is not inherently a writer who eases you into things. Like, even in Cat and Marvel books, but particularly in his own stuff, he's like, this is what's happening. Fucking figure it out. Like, I'm going to jump. Like, and he jumps time periods. Almost every criminal book has that very moment. You're like, wait, whoa, what? Why does this guy have a mustache, and why is he now your dad? Like, and you got to go back and you're like, oh, you're jumping time. Like, he likes to tell non-linear stories in terms of that. So, but he does not make it easy for you. Like, meanwhile, back in 1973 at the Heroes Hall. Now, in 73, she goes to the safe house in London, and she arms up. She has all kinds of weapons going. It's a pretty cool scene, I think, actually. She talks about her being set up regarding Mission Mockingbird. And then she goes one by one through suspects about who might have done the setting up, which is a pretty classic spy/detective thing, which is fine. I'm okay with it. I got no problem with that. It gives us a little idea of the things she's dealing with, about the universe she's in, etc. But she poses as something kinky to get into this club where she eventually confronts the director of her agency after gaining information from her lesbian friend. What? No, the great... Two key points on spy fiction. One, in real spy dramas in life, you don't know who's fucking you. That's the point. You don't have a list of handy suspects. Like, only these 4 men have the top security clearance. Like, if they're above you, there's about 38,000 people, and you don't know any of them. You know one guy who only knows what to hand you. Like, but on top of that, there's a real inequality between guy spy secret covers and female spy secret covers.
There is. There's a weird, it's like, okay, you can be the suave businessman, but you have to be the dominatrix.
Right. I work for Universal Exports. What is Universal Exports? It's a business that allows me to fuck and drink heavily while wearing tuxedos.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
God, it's good to be Sean Connery. Hi, I'm a female spy. You can be a hooker or a woman who bangs dudes for money. You mean a hooker? No. Like trophy wife,
like a more long-term commitment to the fucking. You know? What?
Less hooker, more whore.
It's true. That's what you get in Spy. But not in Velvet until that scene. Well, now, she was only posing to get into the club to get information, so it holds fine.
The Velvet is as badass as Sean Connery has ever been, and that is the whole point of this book, and it's amazing. This, as much as I love Captain America, like Brubaker and Epting are just firing all over the place. And it's quieter. Like there's action all over the place. But there's small, like intricate details, and it's logical. And yes, it's in a fictional spy storyline, because as mentioned earlier, no idea who's above me or who could have fucked me here. But yeah, it's a great book. I can't, and it still boggles my mind that I let you buy this. Like, dumbest thing ever.
You want your own copies from now on?
No. I'll be doing graphics on this eventually to add to my ridiculously large fucking Brubaker graphic collection.
Well, it won't be long, because that was issue 6.
Yeah, so should be coming up soon.
Yeah. All right, so we got a brand new Baltimore book, The Witch of HARJU, or HARJU, I don't know. It's Eastern European shit, so I don't know how to pronounce it. They're in Estonia, for God's sake. No, who sets something in Estonia? It's like setting it in Latvia.
You know what?
Which, is right next to Kreblachia.
I think a lot of people use Estonia because basically all Estonia tells people like you and me, less you, because you have this weird European history thing where you have some weird facts floating around. Most people on my level hear Estonia and they think vaguely Slavic country.
Yes.
The Russia light. And that's what they want.
Russia micro.
Right. Yeah.
8 years ago, this is stupid, and it pops up into my head every time I hear the word Estonia. 30-some-odd years ago, I heard on the radio a comedy routine from Bette Midler.
Shame on you.
It was on. I wasn't looking for it. It came on. So she goes into this weird, convoluted routine where she finally comes up and says, "I know there must be one or two of you out there who doesn't know what a Kreblach is. And for those of you, I say, a Kreblach is a person from Kreblachia, which is a very small fishing nation wedged between Estonia and Latvia. You don't hear too much from them since the Iron Curtain fell." It doesn't make sense,
but it's stuck in your head.
It's stuck there, and every time Estonia pops up, I hear Bette Midler going, Estonia and Latvia. It's stupid, and I probably need counseling for it. But it's there. So they're in Estonia, and they're just kind of wandering around the woods hoping to come across vampires. But what they come across is a woman being chased by some weird form of undead who turns out to be her husband by arranged marriage.
Who she hates.
Now, there's a witch in the form of a black cat running around, and they don't know what to do about that, and then the book ends.
Here's my thing, is Baltimore has been going on such an interesting keel. Like, there were a couple weak points that we talked about, but for the most part, it's a fairly solid book.
Yeah.
This storyline comes completely out of left field.
Way out there.
Suddenly, Baltimore has a crew of semi-competent, semi-insane monster hunters.
Yeah, where the hell did he pick them up?
Where are the vampires? Well,
that's why I phrased it the way I did. I mean, they're out in the woods apparently hoping to stumble across vampires.
Right. It's very odd how this just shows up. And, one of the vampire hunters gets murdered, bad, I'm going to break your face. And the thing is, dude, you're out hunting vampires. Why would you run up with a pistol, try to shoot them in the face?
Yeah.
Nothing about this makes a ton of sense.
Well, they didn't even know what it was. I mean, assuming it was some kind of regular undead, that should have helped, maybe.
Right, but, once they shot it 4 or 5 times, this guy should have been backing away, okay, how do we kill monster
Yeah, we have to think now.
Right.
Because brute force ain't cutting it.
So, and obviously, they all know him, and he's a valued member of the team. They miss him, so, he couldn't have been the stupidest motherfucker on the planet, which is how he went out. I will shoot you, Mr. Mott Crack.
Oh, shit.
Right, it's basically your universal death. It's oh, Frankenstein's coming. What? Who's this weird guy? Sir, no, you can't go in there.
Look, he's slow. It'll be fine. Grab.
All right, I told you before you can't crack. But this guy's obviously seen some fucked up shit and is still doing it. But
are these guys he knew in the war, maybe? I'm thinking they probably are. It seems likely.
I want to go... Well, you actually read the Baltimore novel, which I never did.
Yeah.
Did it mention Indian manservants and dumb Irish guys to get their neck broken in 4 seconds?
No.
All right. Then I got nothing. I have no idea where this came from. The other thing is, I have a sneaking suspicion, and maybe I'm wrong, that this girl murdered her husband, and the witch thing has possessed him to come get her, and Baltimore's going to hand her over, and just because there's some insane shit happening here. And I could be totally off base on that, but this book is so goddamn dark so often, it seems plausible.
Yeah, it sure does. That's definitely something Mignon would attempt. Absolutely. Now, did you find another bee?
Yeah, I gotta go.
For God's sake. It's already 8:30 for fuck. And that ends that. And why don't we talk about some Walt Simonson shit now with Ragnarok? Going back to the well a little bit, maybe, you think?
A little bit. I mean, on the cover, and the cover's amazing. You bought yourself
good.
The sketch cover.
I did.
Which is beautiful. I like this cover better, but the sketch cover is gorgeous, and of course, like, you get to see the art differently.
Yeah.
This is cool because you've got, like, the giant dragon and what appears to be Thor.
Right.
But the implication in the book is Thor is dead.
Already.
Right. And you're like, no, what? I want, no.
Because it opens with that original, that end battle of Jormungand and Thor. But the thing is, it's hard to tell if that's the future or the past. It's probably the past. Seems to be the past. But we then cut to, what's-her-face?
Dark Elf assassin.
Brynja. I don't know how to pronounce the combination of 13 different ancient Scandinavian fucking languages. I'm going to say Brynja. A dark elf.
Bringer of darkness.
Who goes out on a quest to find a dead god in Cliffborg.
If she kills a god, then her daughter becomes immortal. And she finds out after she's made this deal, if she doesn't, her daughter goes out horribly.
Yuck.
They've got some sort of, like, Simonson has some sort of, like, Norse Thanos thing meeting up here. So she gathers a bunch of dumb assassin types and slowly slaughters them bit by bit.
But they go to the tomb that is sealed with what is apparent to me as Thor's hammer, because my cousin is one of those doofs who actually thinks he's a pagan. So he walks around with a fucking giant Thor hammer pendant all day long. It's like, dude, you're a Marine, you live in fucking Michigan, you are not a fucking Scandinavian pagan, okay?
Believe what you want to believe, just don't expect me to take you seriously.
No, I can't. Pagans who own Blu-ray players are not fucking pagans. Pagans are earthy crunchy, they're out in the fucking woods, and while there are lots of woods in Michigan, that motherfucker ain't in them. So, I know it's Thor's hammer, but they open it up and there's a zombie god in there. And I know it's going to be a zombie god because it's not going to sit there dead skeleton the whole time for the storyline.
Nope.
So it's going to come back in one way or another. She's going to fight it, and there's going to be just fucking Viking death metal playing in the back of my head every time I read this.
It is pretty goddamn awesome. Just like last year when Simonson did the art on Indestructible Hulk for that 3-issue arc.
Yeah.
Like, this is where you want him to play. Whenever he's here, I'm happy. Like, give me, dark elves, fucking Vikings, huge motherfucking dragon things. Yes, like, put some fucking Metallica on and kick some ass. Anything before the Black Album will be fine.
Little Cannibal Corpse, maybe. You don't know.
Absolutely not. Although, title-wise seems fitting, hells to the no. No, this is, there are very few books where we're both, like, immediately, like, yes,
fine, whatever, it's good.
This is one of those.
Another one is Anything Atomic Robo. And what we got here tonight is 2 and 3 of the Knights of the Golden Circle, which is essentially Robo in the Old West. So there's a lot happening in here, and my lack of glasses are not allowing me to read my own handwriting properly right now.
Robo has found a dude in the desert. He brings him back to town where there's a sheriff and Doc Holliday, and they're all trapped in a bar with a bunch of regular townsfolk who are attacked by a gang.
Right. The gang wants the guy.
Right. They fight off for a while, then eventually the gang just decides to burn everything down. Robo discovers that he, the sheriff, have made it out okay. The old guy dies, and all the townspeople are missing. So Doc Holliday is arrested for being Doc Holliday, despite being helpful. The sheriff, of course, deputizes Atomic Robo, who they think is Ironhide, except Robo is confused about what that means. And people who've met Ironhide are like, well, he might be Ironhide Jr., but he ain't fucking Ironhide.
Now, one of the reasons, probably the big reason, that the old guy who is now dead, his verkakt, was being chased after is because he had plans for naval guns on him. Why there are naval guns in the Old West is something that is yet to be discovered. It's all part of a secret plot. But to get away from it all, Robo has actually been engineering this one-wheeled motorcycle, which is kind of fun. Although where he got the rubber, I don't fucking know.
Hey, he's Atomic Robo, it's probably made out of possum. But he does get to hear the word Helsingard. And for those of you who don't remember, Helsingard is the name of the eternal Russian douchebag that freaking Robo deals with in the very first Atomic Robo volume.
That's right. I did forget that, actually.
Yes, so he's very excited. So we know that there's insane Old West science-y type stuff happening here. On top of which, you've got crazy Western things. Plus, Robo has something wrong with his plumbing.
Right.
And he thinks he's going to be passing away soon. So as we move on to the third issue, he gives specific instructions as to what happens if he stops working. As if that's not enough, they have a awesome science-based railroad gunfight.
Yes.
And Robo actually shoots a dude because he gets tired of getting shot in the face.
Which is great. There's a very long sequence on the train. Train fights are always fun.
Dude, particularly when robots are involved.
I mean, when was the last, except for possibly Lone Ranger.
I love Lone Ranger.
I know, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I wasn't horrified by it. I thought it didn't know what it wanted to be, mostly. But that train mess, it was too long, it was too big, it was too exciting. There's too much big action sometimes.
No, the only train fight I can honestly remember disliking in the recent past was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Fate Khan, the space train.
That one.
Yeah.
On the garbage scows. Yeah, that one lasted a little long. And it was not exactly exciting, and it really wasn't even necessary either.
No, it did nothing.
It did not add to the story at all. They could have had that fight anywhere else, and it would have been just fine. Could have had it in the engine room. They could have had it on the bridge.
Could have not had it.
Cargo bay. Could have skipped it entirely. But whatever. But that's Robo, and that's the shit we love.
But yeah, solely townsfolk and cowboy, gangster, outlaw, robbers, everybody are being turned into giant half-robot Helsingard monsters. Like, just awesome. Like, if you don't like Atomic Robo, what, do you hate joy? Do you piss on cookies?
Do you piss on
like, I love this book so much. Like, every time I see the word Atomic Robo, I'm happier than I was the moment before.
That's probably going to go into a quote. The City on the Edge of Forever, the original Harlan Ellison teleplay. Time has mutated, because that's what it does in Star Trek. You can't have a Star Trek story without some idea that time might be fucked up. The Enterprise has turned into the Condor, who is no longer crewed by Starfleet, is crewed by renegades, the generic random bad guys who don't exist in the Star Trek universe otherwise.
You know what, I will say, before you continue, I want to say that I love the artistic choice that the renegades are just random bearded guys with semi-furry fucking yak-herding costumes. Because that's Star Trek. It's like, okay, these are the evil, rebel, pirate guys. Give them beard, hire guys with beards and put them in Genghis Khan leftovers.
It's true, man. How many times have you seen that in Star Trek?
Like, and I love that the artist, instead of trying to make something look cool
you did
or
not
interesting,
just push that horse over.
Instead of trying to do something cool or artistic or make them like super weird aliens, it's like, no, you guys with beards and fur. fucking be pirates.
It's true. It's true. They decide that we can't fight all these guys. We're going to have to go back down. Hey, Yeoman Rand, you get to hold off all these assholes.
Yeoman Rand,
doors,
ass kicker.
which is great.
You do see her like throwing elbows and pirate faces.
Oh, no,
and...
she's kicking it. But I don't know that she can hold off an entire ship worth of motherfuckers with just the doors in the transporter room.
Well, it's interesting because in all, when have you ever read? There has to, in the sum total of Star Trek ridiculousness that's out there, somebody has to have written a Lieutenant Uhura ass kicker issue somewhere.
Well, they didn't put it on the show, I'll say that.
Right. So why, but think about it. After all these, I'm hoping that exists. But if it doesn't, somehow Yeoman Rand is suddenly made the first ass-kicking female Star Trek.
Rand doesn't even get a rank. She gets a position.
Right.
That's fucked up, I always thought. Because I was asked my pop year after year, I said, what is a yeoman, Dad? Is it just somebody who does stuff? And my dad was not a Navy guy, so I don't really expect him to know what a fucking yeoman was. But it's just like, she does things. Like, you're not helping me, Pop.
Oh, man.
So she has to hold him off. I don't know how she's going to do it. They go back down. And there's several pages about arguing Harlan Ellison's concept of fucking time, which started to hurt my brain immensely after a while.
I felt they were logical, though, and they progressed.
Most of it was. It also seemed to be, at points, some sentences explaining some of the things just seemed like, but why?
Well, it did feel like 60s Harlan Ellison,
yeah.
But you had to like the moment, and they don't do this enough. And I'm no Star Trek guy. All I can do is compare this book to the Star Wars, and this is beating it up and eating its lunch money and possibly banging its mom. But the moment where the Guardian's like, "Oh, you think you can go back in time, just stop this guy and fix everything?" Like, you are so dumb in the ways of time, and that totally makes sense.
It does, but we've come to expect certain things about time travel, and we know that they're obviously going to pull it off anyway,
right?
So,
but you have to love the idea that it's this idiotic plan. He went back in time and changed the past, so we're going to go back in time, capture him without somehow changing the time in any immeasurable other number of ways.
Yeah, it's not going to work out quite the way it should.
If you think it out loud, and I love that it gets addressed, it's a horrifyingly awful place. It's like, well, let's learn how to live in Conderville, because we're just going to go back, capture him before he does whatever he does, and hope that the way we change the world, maybe ice cream will be creamier. Like, who the fuck knows?
That is a good point, though. Everyone thinks that anytime anything changes, it's got to be some horrifying history doesn't exist anymore thing. Whereas it just might be, it took 5 more years to get the transistor.
Right. Simple things. Like, all you have to do...
Like ice cream being creamier.
Right. No idea. Like, all you have to do is block a train, and somebody doesn't meet somebody's mom, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt doesn't get born, and fuckle.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what everybody believes. But it can be a lot more inconsequential than that.
But all I'm saying is, like, all it takes is, it doesn't, what you do can be as inconsequential as stepping in front of a train, or a tram, or a horse-drawn buggy, stepping on the wrong bug that's higher in genetic code, and it's about to bang a really fertile bug. Like, who the hell knows what you can do to fuck with time? So, I love that actually gets addressed.
Yeah. So they get back to 30s Earth, and they're instantly
race riot
confronted by a bunch of fucking blue collar assholes on the right wing talking about they took our germs. So they assault Spock, thinking even though that he's never looked like any race on Earth ever, he must be a foreigner.
You know what? In 1930,
he must be here because he wants to be a machinist, and I want to be a machinist. And how dare you take my machinist job?
In 1930s, he don't look like us, so he's got to be foreign. Because there ain't nothing around here ever look like that dude.
And in that much, it's true. However, this fucking machinist or mechanic or beat picker or whatever the fuck he is, how is he supposed to know that this guy wants to be a beat picker too and is going to take his job?
He don't care. Like, they're worked up, man. This is classic Ellison. Like, this is the idea that he'd try and put this on television in the 60s. And, like, you know, oh, look how far. This was the golden age everyone's talking about. We have dragged ourselves out of the mud, Spock. But we still have a long way to go. But, Captain, no, Spock. This is our past. And we have built ourselves forward from this into a better and more understanding person. But yet, there is still so much more that we can do as a people to move forward. Let's say, fucking chill out. Oh my God. Message received.
We get it. Okay, pal. That's very good. Now, I'm kind of happy that Vale is coming to a conclusion very soon. Dante takes refuge with some pals while Vale, finally free as a succubus demon thingy, whatever, under the power of giant douche business magic man, creepy guy.
Yeah.
The rat possesses Dante's body and provides exposition for about 60 pages. And creepy guy uses Vale to kill the other corporate guys, and it's just like big whoop.
It is, I mean, a lot gets revealed. That the rat is Vale's demon boss, for lack of a better term, is kind of interesting. The fact that he bites Dante's friend and possesses him by hanging off his hand is clever. Like, I've not seen that before. It's like, there's a rat hanging off my hand.
No, that one is new and different.
The part where, you know, random street dude that loves Vale and wants to protect her despite knowing her for 8 seconds, but is in no way basing that on the nudity that she was walking around with, attracting every other male, is so laughably ridiculous that it might as well be this fucking movie.
I mean, she is a succubus, so she's got an innate thing that makes people want her. But how he's resisting it specifically is probably going to boil down to his pure heart.
Right. He's inherent champion or hero of sort. So be it. But the fact that the demon rat gets fooled enough to get shot to shit by this dude is
that did make me laugh. I did get humor out of that.
There's some clever things happening here. What I really want, though, is I want the mob to try and hire a demon or a fucking wizard or some shit. And when it goes south, the mob fucks him up for once. It's like, no, we're going to gangster bat you for a while instead of monsters eating all of our face. Every time you see a mob move, like Lobster Johnson, every time the mob and fucking mutants or zombies or fucking space-age flea technology shows up, whatever, it's Lobster Johnson. You can't tell me that you can't imagine.
Space-age flea technology? It hadn't popped into my head previously, but now I'm going to be expecting it.
Yeah, Saft.
No.
Yeah. Shortened into an acronym for time. But anyway, every time that shows up, the mob loses. Every single time. It's like,
they're the mob.
But all I'm saying is, wouldn't it be different if, like, the wizard and the mob get in war and they just beat the fuck out of the wizard? Like, oh, yeah, that's a fancy fairy. I just shot you in the face. Because I'm a mobster, bitch. Take your wizard spells and go hack to Hogwarts.
Yes.
Anyway. Vale actually stepped up a little bit for me, but I still can't wait for it to go away.
Yes.
And I'm not loving the art style is just too arty for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's covered in squiggles.
Yeah, that throws me off. It's like, are they supposed to be sweating? Is that reflection? Really? All that reflection?
Is
That's
that
a lot
half
of reflection.
A rat? Is he bleeding? Or has he just got red highlights in his fur?
It's tough to be certain at points what I'm looking at. That's all. That's what I'll boil it down to. So, yeah. However, I can always tell what I'm looking at with Uber.
And it's horrible.
It mostly is. In Uber 15... Sieglinde is finally escaping from ripping the living fuck out of Britain and
literally
ripping Churchill apart, and she's assaulted by a bunch of English battleships, the Blitzmen, whatever they're calling the tank men. But the thing is, the Panzermensch, who are waiting in the English Channel for her to get out to the water, fuck them up.
Not Panzermensch, the new electronic.
What did they call those? The Blitzmensch.
Yes.
The Blitzmensch, not the Panzermensch. Those guys, the Panzermenschen, are not the same as the Blitzmenschen. There's way too many fucking names for these guys. There's way too many delineations. I was happier when there was tank guys and there was battleships. That's what I was happy with.
Well, now there are destroyers and there are cruisers.
Which is, wait, it's just too... Stop it. Just keep it simple. You're getting too complex. Now, I can't read when I'm writing anymore. Because I don't have my glasses.
A random Scottish scientist shows up, and through blood testing and random explosions, and, you know, stuff like this just makes science way cooler than it actually is. But, what is revealed is that they can track what blood involves, and different mensch have different particles in their blood. So I think they're suggesting they can figure out better ways of making them and what they're going to make through the blood.
And that's where the double stacker Burger King tank men come in.
So
really,
now,
double stacking? I think Kieran is going to BK too many times.
There's no such thing. No, it's they're doing some really cool concepts in this.
And the arms race is escalating.
But Britain is finally getting back into it because it's really starting to irk me that Germany's just kicking everybody's ass for this.
The Americans aren't getting anywhere. The Soviets are killing 10,000 people at a time to find one motherfucker. And she runs off and just makes spirit goo to eat, which is just creepy as all fuck.
Mud oatmeal!
Blah. So, no, but I still love it. There's a little bit of mumbo-jumbo happening this particular issue.
But in an awesome way.
Yes.
Like, you have to kind of roll... Like, as much as we make fun of people, particularly you, for science, you have to give them a pass on science in this.
Yeah, believe me, the number of things I don't mention that mildly irk me are legion.
But Uber is just... It's really... Like, there's a depth of thought. But yeah, now England is recognizing that not only can they make their own, but they can make different types of Ubers.
Right.
And hopefully without half of them dying.
That's the important part. They can do it with the blood test now instead of just pumping them full of fucking process and hoping they don't burst. Which is probably going to be the key. So.
Because I need some, I need more English frigging Uber. I need, I want Uber on Uber fighting. Like, we had one and the Germans just fucked everybody up.
That's the thing. How often can you do that, to what degree, before it just turns into a period superhero book rather than a war book with powers?
Well, I think eventually it has to. Otherwise, the Germans just win. Because at this point, how many times can you see German superheroes fucking everything up and Allies not being able to do anything?
No, that is going to get tiresome soon if it doesn't change.
I think you do have to kind of get to the next level. And, I think because they're using them as military assets and not heroes, therein lies the difference.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm Captain America. It's, no, you're a fucking tool. I'm going to put you here. You're going to punch anything in the face that walks in this room, guard the flag, fucking save the day, and then you're going to go back in the box till I fucking shoot you at another goddamn thing. You're about as heroic as fucking food processors.
Wow. Okay, got a little jaded at the end. Teeny bit cynical.
In this book?
Well, all right, fine. So, let's turn a little more lighthearted now and get some Star Wars in. How about that?
Star Wars. Nothing more than Star Wars.
We are going two very different directions there. Rebel Heist 4 ends the series, and I'm kind of sad about it.
It was a lot of fun. I really liked Rebel Heist for a positive, but there's a really big negative.
Yeah?
Really big.
Really?
Go back and look at that series. What was the heist exactly?
That's the problem. You're right. You're absolutely right. It was not clear what they were taking or why.
It's a caper story in which the caper is absolutely secondary. The positive is that Matt Kent had such a good take on the characters.
Yep.
And you see, at the end, not only do you have all the characters interacting perfectly, but you also have these new rebellion characters embracing their role in the rebellion because of the influence of the others, that's the kind of storytelling you want to see.
Yeah.
So all that's amazingly well done.
And Chewie ripping apart giant monsters.
Right. But you can't
Big positive.
You can't take away the... Yeah, Chewie is awesome. They're all awesome in this. Han Solo, back to Star Wars Han Solo. I don't give a fuck about anything. Leia taking things serious. Like, everybody is cool in this. It's Star Wars. It's not Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It's not Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Everybody makes jokes. This is Star Wars. These are the characters. Matt Kent has a phenomenal take on them, but it's quite possibly the worst caper ever.
No, they did a bad job on actually capering.
And I kept waiting, and at the end, it's capering. You have this Imperial guy who... and even his story, like, last time I saw lightsabers when Darth Vader destroyed my entire village, and I was forced to join the Empire, but I would have liked to have been in the rebellion. All right, that's your classic comic book storyline. I didn't have a problem with that at all. But it felt like the entire story was about bringing this guy over, not the caper.
An actual mission.
What are these things? Oh, they're rings. We're going to put them up on Hoth. Well, they ain't going to do shit. Fucking space rings, super. Like, I was waiting for the buildup of the caper. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was a big letdown. But I still, like, I will buy the graphic for this. I really enjoyed it. I love the take on the characters. Chewbacca is awesome. Han is awesome. But yeah, like, I really thought it was going to end with Ocean's 11. And I got Ocean's 11, the Frank Sinatra version. Like, oh, let's just run in and point guns at people. What? Motherfucker! Don't remove my capers, okay? I'm like a French chef that way. Leave the capers in. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. So the penultimate Dark Horse. Oh my god, I'm so disappointed. There's one more fucking Dark Horse Star Wars, and then that's the end of the end of the end, and it goes back to Marvel.
Yeah, but overall, you've liked a lot more Marvel Star Wars than you have Dark Horse Star Wars. I mean, you've liked a lot more Dark Horse Star Wars than I have. But that's not saying much.
Well, the thing here's this. Marvel had a very specific, sometimes goofy, unfocused take on Star Wars. The Dark Horse Star Wars books, plural, always had a point and a focus, and this is our cast, and this is what they're stuck doing. Now, it may be 3,000 years ago with Nomi Sunrider. It may be 30 some odd years ago with the nascent rebellion, but you had
moments in time.
Moments. You had stories.
I don't know. There's some things that I've liked. Tag and bait.
Marvel Star Wars kind of meandered.
Yes. I mean, obviously, a big part of our joy of that is the sentimentality of it.
Yeah.
But you know what? How often when you're reading Star Wars, you're like, where the fuck is Han Solo? Where's Luke? Like, if I read one more thing about some vaguely Obi-Wan looking dude with a ponytail.
See, you are less into the universe than you are the story.
Yeah, well, I mean, I put the story before everything.
Yeah.
In anything.
Or if I get a good story in that universe, then that's good enough for me.
Well, if you get an okay story in a cool universe, you can work with it much better than I can.
Yeah.
If it ain't a good story, I don't give a monkey's butt.
Well, I think that's colored by your lack of caring of the rest of the universe.
Partially, but also, like, you have to acknowledge, you've also read a lot more than I have. You've read things that you liked in there. You go back and look at the things you brought me.
I've also read Dookie.
Yeah.
There's been some crap Star Wars books. That's absolutely true.
I liked Age of the Empire, even though it was insanely ridiculous. The James Bond in space, like, just speaks to me. I never read Dark Empire, which you say was good. I love Tag and Bink. I liked random other pieces here or there. I really like Brian Wood's Star Wars. I liked the Mad Kint one. But for the most part, like...
Jedi without Luke mean pretty much nothing to you.
But, most of the stories weren't that good either. Like,
no, that's true.
What was the last one before you gave up bringing Star Wars to me? There was a couple of fiascos in a row. There was Darth Vader and the Lost Command.
It was really the Darth Vader stuff.
No, that was incredibly painful. That one hurt you.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Because, fucking Darth Gonzo Muppet Commander that they were writing there. But on top of that, It was the one that was set as a sequel to Thrawn with the alien race and the anti-force monsters.
Oh, the Yuzong Vong.
Yeah, and the princes in prison. And it was
invasion.
just so fucking...
It was not great.
So you have to think back, like, and the old guy who's like, they were doing classic Toshiro Mifune moves. Like, I'm going to infiltrate. I'm like, I'm not fucking reading Sanjuro in space. Like, you're not good enough to pull it off.
I liked Knights of the Old Republic. I liked Rebellion. I liked Empire. The Rebellion and Empire are probably books you'll dig better.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to bear in mind, the ones that I was reading at the tail end weren't good.
No, they were not. I was not happy with most of those.
I mean, the best of those was Agent, and that was just more because it was cool than it was particularly good.
Yeah. But what other publisher has been able to hold on to the same property that fucking big for 20 solid years?
No, I mean, the whole property thing in comics has become such a convoluted mess now.
Yeah, how many publishers has G.I. Joe gone through?
Like 20-something. Like a lot. There's a lot of short windows where people had G.I. Joe and lost it again.
Yeah.
Dark Horse had it. Fucking... A lot of little people took a swing.
Devil's Due had it
Topps.
under Image.
Did Topps have it for a bit?
Devil's Due had it on its own. IDW has it now.
But yeah, quite a few people have taken a swing at G.I. Joe. Quite a few people have tried Transformers. TMNT's been all over the place. At least usually we still creator control on that one, but still, like, a lot of these things have bounced around a lot. Thundercats has been all over the fucking place.
I don't remember. I'm only certain of like 2 Thundercats books.
That's still, like, the fact that even Thundercats has floated around. DC had Thundercats for like a minute and a half through somebody's side project.
At any rate, we're closing in on 2 full hours, so we got to get the fuck moving. And I do like talking about this, but we got 4 more books to go.
Dear God. All right, what's next?
Manifest Destiny 8. Frog fight! Giant demon, multi-tongue, gross-ass frog fight.
You've got so many bizarre things happening in this book. We're actually letting this go. We're going to look for graphics because it's just so strange. It's a great book, and I was actually second-guessing myself reading that one because I'm like, things were moving again.
Yeah.
But everyone's a rapist or horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was part of it. They took criminals.
Right, but the soldiers have no personality, just the criminals.
They got nothing.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Like, I get that, obviously the criminals are easier to characterize, but every soldier they're murdering.
Yeah.
So,
how many are left at this point, for God's sake?
Everyone who dies is basically a soldier. It's like, so all the criminals are better at this? Like, fuck off. No one's fought a fucking Cthulhu monster swamp frog before. Like, everyone's on an even keel here. I love the Indian chick is smarter than everybody else. I love, like, the Meriwether Clark thing, Lewis and Clark. Like, they're doing cool things with both those characters.
Yeah.
And they're playing at different angles. But, like, having the guy slowly seduce the girl so he can rape her, it's like...
Terrible.
I thought he was legitimately not doing that, so it bothered me on that level.
And then, boom, he was. So,
yay, rape. Awesome. And then he gets killed, the giant mosquito monster thing.
Which I thought was good.
Mostly because he got killed.
I like to see assholes get what's coming to them.
But we're also falling into everything's just a giant version of it. Like,
yeah, that's the other thing. The Minotaur men guy bull things were kind of different.
And the plant people are very like
the plant zombie everything was genuinely different. But now it's just okay. Here's a giant frog. Here's a giant mosquito. Here's a giant.
Right. But there is like this is classic pulp horror. Like the plant people. What's his name? William Hope Hodgson did that very thing, and Mignola would visit it as well in The Island, one of the Hellboy miniseries. Like people show up on pirates land on an island, turn into mushrooms, that kind of shit.
Okay.
Yeah, horrible monster.
All right, I'll trust you on that one.
So that you've got the classic horror, like all giant versions of monsters. Like this is It's still very Lovecraft. There's a lot of cool ideas, and I like the book a lot. I just feel like, as opposed to $4 every month, to be kind of confused, I could pick up a couple graphics and follow it in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
So we're not dumping the book in the sense like I don't like you. It's like I'm going to read it a different way.
In a more convenient format.
Right.
Right.
But it is still a great book.
Yes. So, I don't know why they gave us 2 issues of Caliban, but it was nice to get a bunch of story all at once rather than dribs and drabs from that one. And I don't even know if this is a...
It has to be a miniseries.
Yeah, logically it does, but it's not numbered. Nobody has said concluding in 2 issues, nothing like that. It's still in previews months ahead, so it's going to be a big mini.
But unless it goes to a different storyline. Basically, what comes down... First off, fuck you for doing exactly what I said you were going to do, killing off everybody.
They did it. That's exactly what they're doing.
In one fell swoop. It wasn't even like a trial. We're all going to attack together. They weren't even a team. They were like 2 groups of 3 that go off, find each other, and attack them all at once, and he slaughters all of them.
Yep.
It's like, wow, these aren't even characters. Like, no effort went into that.
Nah, he wasn't trying with that.
On top of that, then you've got 4 people left, and he takes out 2 more by the end of the next issue.
Yep.
So you're down to the 2 female characters. That's it. Like, which is your classic horror feel, but the slow build, like when he was taking the people and torturing them to figure out their limits,
yes,
that was horror. Slaughtering everybody at once, that's fucking Friday the 13th Part 7. Like, that's just, let's just throw fucking new ways of goring people at that. The evolution of him when he's creating parts of the monster into himself, and the alien backstory about what he is, very cool.
Yes. The idea that takes over and adapts and kills entire worlds was pretty neat.
The best thing that happens in both these books, and it's such a subtle thing, is Ennis writes an alien language very well. He writes a alien telling his history in notations in a way that doesn't read as human.
Oh, yeah.
The thought process. Yeah. If you go back and look at it, like the way he's telling the story is like, well, no one on Earth would talk like this.
Right.
He tells a story in a way because it is alien. He has a good concept of that. And the bonding of this monster, like, so many neat things are happening here. But yeah, like, so many fucking stock cliches are happening here.
He's got a weird mix of them. He really should... He should stay away from the cliches. I was about to say he should stick to one or the other, but no, I would prefer there were no cliches.
There's some cool concepts in this, and he's doing some things that I haven't seen, but like... The mind jumping thing, of course, is another horror trope in a degree, but the alien aspect common. Of it, and the ending up in an alien ship with that, so the alien isn't the issue. Although that's classic Alien, like, oh, we're on this ship, and oh, something else they picked up. Fuck them. And now he wants to go to Earth to wreck a new world. Like, there's cool ideas happening here. Maybe not the most creative, but there's a lot of clever insight inside it.
Yes.
But wasting everyone to get as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Could have drawn that out a bit more,
like and making and once again, this is Garth Ennis. Does the Irish or English guy have to be the only one with any personality out of everyone? Like, really?
That's funny. It's true though. He does that. He's done it here. He's done it other places.
I'm Space Cassidy. I drink and I talk and I like it, to look at your ass. And I got killed in space.
Oops.
Yeah, I like Caliban. I don't love it. I want to see more. I want to see where it goes. But yeah, I was really like, they're just going to slaughter all these people, and they absolutely did.
Yeah, it was disappointing. So let's end this fucking night because it doesn't seem to want to stop. And I got to go to the gym in the morning. United States of Murder Incorporated 3.
Murder was the comic that they gave me.
We get a flashback of the army and the mafia fighting, which, having been a soldier, I will not believe that some fucking schmo who hangs around a goddamn espresso shop is going to take out a a competently trained infantry soldier.
Well, you know what? Of course,
I know infantry soldiers, and some of them ain't too fucking bright, to be honest. But they're not hanging around coffee shops, catcalling bitches, and just shooting sideways. I mean, they're trained. There's no reason a soldier shouldn't be able to hit a Goomba on the fucking city streets.
Well, I'm going to agree and disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if enough armed assholes congregate in an area, they're going to kill some army guys.
Well, I mean, that's
historically,
that's
that's always happened.
Yeah.
However, watching these guys throwing firebombs at tanks and then the tank blowing up the building tells you exactly why the mafia didn't win the fucking war. Like, you can't win that. It's one thing when your entire populace, but there's no way the mafia was the entire city of New York or Philadelphia or Cleveland that they somehow lost. So, no. Absolutely. And, like, this just proved it. Like, you got a tank and armed soldiers going through. Yes, some of those guys would die. So I'm going to disagree with that part because if fucking random schmoes in the most back-ass countries in the world can find it in their hearts to make a pot shot and murder a fucking trained soldier, which pisses me off on a daily basis, then yes, these schmoes could too. But they're not going to win.
No, they're never going to win.
No! And this just makes that clear. It doesn't show, oh, well, this is how they won by throwing firebombs at tanks. No, they didn't win with that. That's like, this is... It'd be like if the Polish had beaten Germany in World War II, and they show a guy on a fucking horse with a lance attacking a tank. Like, this is how they won. No! That's how they lost in like 13 days.
You know, however, I did just finish that Patton Rommel book.
Oh, yeah?
And the Polish army was not as ill-equipped as people like to think.
No, those kind of things happened, but no, there was still an actual tactical force in there, too.
Yeah.
But it was just completely outmanned. But sadly, those things did happen.
Yeah. And then there's 12 fucking pages of Mafia Dons endlessly fucking yapping.
Which makes sense. I didn't have a problem with that. What I did have a problem with is 5 Mafia Dons on closed-circuit the most tapeable goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a technological genius, at least by my standards. How many ways could you think of to fucking record that conversation?
Oh, shit, yeah. There's billions. I mean, you need one tap in one place in just some satellite link up or some, Comcast line in Podunk somewhere. And you got it. But it was just yappity. And they're always like, it ain't my fucking fault. It must be your fault.
That didn't bother me.
You fucking Goomba, it's your goddamn fault there.
That didn't bother me in the slightest because that's what they would do. I didn't have a problem with that.
But for that long?
It's a Bendis book.
Yeah.
Then you have a bunch of pages of CIA, possibly assassins. That's the character's assumption, not mine. And then the big reveal is that the mom gets arrested for her son not becoming a spy. Despite her doing her job for 22 years.
What were the actual charges supposed to have been? Failure to commit conspiracy against crime lords? What?
You have no jurisdiction here. You can't... there's so many gaping holes in the logic of this book. I like the book. I don't hate it at all, but it's like... I mean... when you pick up a comic book, you suspend disbelief. That's your job. But you know what? You gotta make it easy for me.
Yeah.
Y'all can't just be like, no, you won't believe this, you'll believe this. You gotta make it work. And this is not, in that sense, this is not working.
Having established all of that, I think that we'll stop boring everyone and call this episode even.
I will actually not waste time for once and immediately, and not take a distinct amount of time like I normally do and pull out the ending to annoy you. I'll right away go ahead and say my classic line, which I would not normally do. Usually I'd kind of draw things out for a bit.
I can see where you're going with this.
Bless you, fuckers!
And away.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.